Hi guys, my name is John and I'm an alcoholic. It's great to be here today. It's nice to see so many familiar faces all around. Wendy gave me a WhatsApp, a message to ask if I could come and share my 1 year down over here in front of so many people, like such a big crowd. I don't like speaking in front of a lot of people. I kind of get nervous and shy and whatnot, but so be it. When I kind of knew this was going to happen somehow after attending my first meeting at the Cuddy Circuit, was this first big AA meeting. I was really impressed with the number of people that came, and people were coming to do their 1 year shares, 2 year shares, 10 years, whatever. And I was thinking, sheesh, I'm going to be doing this one day. I just kind of knew that was going to happen. So when Wendy sent me the message, I was like, oh, am I going to say yes? I started to get nervous as soon as I was reading the words. Oh, it's happening. It's going to happen. But yeah, I just, in a situation like that, I just had to say, right, just do it. This fellowship and this part of the world, and a lot of you people have done the same for me, shared stuff that I can identify with, and helped me along the way, directly, indirectly, whatever, it doesn't matter. I haven't prepared anything. I'm just going to speak kind of off the cuff. What I like is out of the fifth chapter there, it's kind of like a bit of a structure. What it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. I think before I get into that, just like a brief history of where I come from and kind of who I am. I'm one of 7 children. I've got 6 older sisters. I'm the last born. Sister number 6 is 7 years older than me. So I kind of was brought up in an environment where my mother and my father were like my grandmother and my grandfather, and my sisters and their boyfriends, who actually ended up, being my brother-in-laws, were like my mothers and fathers. So I had a lot of influence from people. How can I say? People with influence, people that were older than me, and my nieces and nephews ended up being like my brothers and sisters. So it was a bit of a weird kind of situation. Now that I think about it now. It is, but I find it wonderful how the generations sort of take care of themselves. So I grew up kind of obviously feeling very, very entitled, and I was. Around the home environment, I kind of pushed my weight around. I wasn't shy, I spoke up. I wanted my way. But outside of that sort of cocooned world of mine, I didn't have many friends because there were already so many people in my life, friends, family members that were like friends to me, that were like brothers and sisters. I didn't feel the need to go out and make more friends. I didn't feel the need to seek other relationships. It was like all there, provided. So starting school, out in the school life, out of this family environment, I was very sort of shy, reserved, petrified, in fact. Petrified of doing something wrong, petrified of the ramifications of it. Just really, really scared kid. Out of all of this, I ended up developing like a stutter or a stammer. I couldn't speak in front of people. First year of high school, very, very stressful. John, it's your turn to read in class. It's your turn to stand up and recite your whatever it is, your project or whatever it was. Couldn't do it. I was a blithering fool. I had to go for treatment and counseling and speech therapy and whatever. They did all tests on me, IQ tests and whatever. The doctor said, there's nothing wrong with this Lighty. He's intelligent, above average intellect. There's nothing wrong with this oak. He's just kind of afraid and scared. There's something else in him that's making him like this. And I didn't know back then that it was this disease that was kind of making me think too much and projecting and looking, and my perceptions of how things were just skewed even at that age. So thankfully I came right. I can speak coherently now, I hope. And I moved through high school, very like under the radar kind of guy. I didn't want to bring too much attention to myself, in the outside world. At home, sure, I was the joker. I was full of wit. I would tell jokes. I would make everybody laugh, which was great. That was lovely affirmation for me. I really enjoyed that. But I couldn't take that and put it into the real world, the outside world. I kind of couldn't do that for that time. And then I learned how to do that. I learned how to manipulate the situation, get people to like me. I deferred with humor a lot. All kind of defensive mechanisms that I developed and that worked for me, and it was great. People started to like me. People laughed at me. People invited me out to parties and stuff, which was all that affirmation. It was wonderful. After school, I studied mechanical engineering. I never finished. I went and studied other stuff. I ended up doing, like, my adult life, kind of up to before I went into treatment. I did a whole lot of stuff, but I never completed or finished it. It was never a situation where I had that perseverance and that steadfastness to actually complete something I started. And it became a recurring pattern for me. Jobs that I did, things that I wanted to study, relationships that I had. It was just this recurring pattern of starting something because it was new and fresh, and I thought it would change my life and make me feel like how I wanted to feel. I started to become a seeker for, like, inner serenity, a seeker for peace. There was just too much madness going on in my head. If someone had to look at me from the outside, they would look at me and say, okay, John's got a nice job, John's earning some money, or John's studying, he's on the right path, all of that. But inside there was this like turmoil of, am I studying the right thing? Oh, it's going to take so long to get through this thing. Oh, I don't feel like studying now. I'd rather go out surfing or with my mates, or go partying or whatever. I had a major problem with self-discipline. I couldn't discipline myself, and that whole entitlement thing. I never really paid for any of my studies. My dad would pay. It got to the stage where he said, "Listen, you're not getting the marks. You're not making it through the sections and the years and whatnot. So if I don't see an improvement," he told me, "then you're going to pay yourself." And I said, "Okay, that's fine." And there wasn't an improvement. And he said, "Well, that's it. Either you get a job and you're going to pay for yourself, or you stop. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not throwing money at you if you're not going to appreciate it." And that was my entitlement. I felt entitled to my parents, whoever was there that could help me. I'd blindly go and ask, "Hey, I need some money. I want to study. I need this. My car's broken. I want to go out. Give me some money. I want to buy this. Can I, And it was just like given until a point where it was just said to me, "Listen, enough. You're not appreciating this stuff. There's no gratitude in you. It's just this entitled little prick that's just taking and wasting." So I think I'm going to move forward to when things became really, really difficult and bad for me. What were the things that I started to realize in my life when I knew that I was drinking too much, I was thinking about drinking too much, and one of the first things that came to me was I was starting to lie about it. I was starting to manufacture little lies about if I was going to go and ask somebody for money, because at that stage, my job, I was an estate agent. I loved my job, but I wasn't making any money. That whole self-discipline thing was there. I wasn't doing the things I ought to be doing to actually get the money in. Sporadically, every little bit here and there, and I'd see what I got, and I'd pay some people, but I always made sure there was enough there to go out drinking and partying, which was madness because I owed so many people money, and anyway, I don't know what I was thinking. Anyhow, so these little lies and that I started to manufacture. Oh, can I borrow $100 or $200? I need it for petrol, or I need it to get around. I've got to get to work tomorrow, or whatever. I mean, it was ludicrous. Before I went to go and ask these people for money, I would manufacture this little kind of lie about it, because in actual fact, I was going to go ask them for money so I could go and hit the pub and bloody drink it all up. And that started to get to me because I prided myself on my honesty. You know, if someone asked me a straight question, I would give them a straight answer. And now I was doing this. I was lying, and it just wasn't me. It just didn't feel right, but I was still doing it. And that started to niggle at me. I was starting to think, no, John, there's something wrong. I went to go and see my wife, my ex-wife at the moment. At the time, we were married but separated. And I went to go and ask her for some money. And how old was she? She was about 5 or 6 then, my daughter. So I'm asking my wife if I can borrow $200. And she's saying, okay, this, and she's looking in her wallet. She's trying to think, okay, let me see how much I've got. My daughter pops up and says, don't worry, Daddy. I'll go to my room and see what I've got. And she went off to her room, came back with this bag of monies. Now, to a 5-year-old, it's just money, and there's lots of it there because there are lots of little individual pieces. So she thought she was really helping me out, honestly. And she comes over to me, she says, Dad, this is all the monies I have, you can have it. And I was floored, hey? I was absolutely floored, because I was asking for money to go drinking, and here's this little kid giving me everything that she had. All her money, all her love, all her compassion and sympathy and everything, saying, okay, Dad needs money. He's in a bit of a bind here. Let me help him out. And that floored me. Once to say, I took the money from my wife and went and drank it all up. That was one of the other things that really resonated with me, to kind of think, no, man, Jono, there's something wrong with you. There's something fundamentally wrong with you. One of the other things was, because of all the stress and the detachment that I felt, and the frustration and the irritability, I ended up, I wouldn't say attacking or assaulting, but it was one of my sisters. It was sister number 3. Now, she's got her part to play in it. I've got mine, but I can only look at my part. And I went into this like psychotic rage. Before I carry on that, my sister number 3, and our characters are very, very, very similar. We we know how to sort of G each other up. We know how to push each other's buttons. And at the stage that I was at, I had nowhere else to live and go except to go and stay with her. And she was going through a whole lot of shit herself, separated from her husband, drinking too much as well, on all types of medication to sort of help her out. And she was just on me, ragging me, just like trying to get a rise out of me. She was like venting herself, and it was personal venting to me. Like I took it really personally. And yeah, I just hit that. It was like a switch. It just hit, and this like psychotic rage came over me. It wasn't me. She came over. She started like attacking me, and I flipped, and I ended up bloody assaulting her, man. She's older than me. She's almost 60, you know. And here I am, got her by the throat, lifting her up on the wall, just seriously bodily harm, eh? And the weird thing about that was, it happened before, but not with a person. It was always like an inanimate object. I'd like pick something up and chuck it or break it because this thing is fighting against me. This thing's got a mind of its own, and it's not listening to me. It's to what I want it to do. The screw's not going in, and it's falling, and you know, that kind of stuff. Crazy, stupid stuff. But this time it happened with a person. Luckily enough, we were in a place where after the incident, I could go to her and talk to her about it. And I made my amends. Not that I knew what amends was at that stage. I just felt so shitty afterwards. During it was great. Hey, I felt so powerful and invincible, and I was, you know, assaulting a 60-year-old woman. I mean, what the hell is that? Powerful and invincible. Stupid. Anyhow, so we managed to, she saw her side. She said, listen, that was wrong of me. I saw mine. I explained that it just came over me. And we managed to patch things up a bit. But it happened again. This was the day before I went into treatment. It happened again. I came home. I'd been drinking. I lied to her about how much I'd been drinking, and then she started on me. I basically, that switch again, that flipped, and I was going to tear the whole house apart, her house, the place that we were living in and together. That was it. I was going to rip this whole place apart. Every single thing was going to be smashed to pieces. And she could see it in me, and she knew that what I was like. And she got very, very afraid. So I went out to go and get my sjambok stick from the car so I could start smashing. As I went out, she locked the whole house. Good move. I couldn't get back in. I went round to the one side. She ducked out the other door, got in her car, locked herself in her car, and left. Me locked out the house. I managed to break in because I'm quite good at kind of figuring a plan and sorting out a situation. I could see my keys. I got a swimming pool pole, and I managed to get in the house to start smashing. But by that time, it had kind of subsided. The rage had subsided. But once I got into the house, it picked up again, and I was going to start. But something happened. I just decided, I don't know how, the next thing I found out, I was on the phone with sister number one. And I was saying, listen, this is what happened, and this is how I'm feeling, this is what I want to do. But I called you. I don't know why I'm speaking to you, but yeah, I'm speaking to you now. She says, good, I'm glad you called. I'm glad that you're asking for help. This is what I want you to do, she told me. She said, I want you to pack a bag, just some stuff. I want you to go to the petrol station down the road. It wasn't a long walk. And I want you to wait there. We're coming. And she did specify, don't drive, leave your car. So I was like, okay, cool. At that stage, I couldn't think. I was just wanted somebody to tell me what to do, and I did it. So I ended up at this garage. My brother-in-law and my two sisters came. They had a plan. The plan was 9 o'clock the next morning, I was going to go to treatment. I was very happy. As soon as I heard that, kind of a weight came off me. I kind of knew that I was being taken care of, and I was going to be taken to a place where I could get better, I suppose. I don't know how I was going to get better or what was going to happen, but yeah, that was kind of like the end, but the beginning as well. It's funny how it works like that. Something ends, and then something immediately kind of starts. So the next morning, I end up at this treatment facility, and immediately as we kind of drove in, and I got out the car, I walked in with my bag and whatnot, kind of handed in my phone and my stuff and my keys and whatever else they wanted. But by that stage, I was like, whatever, man. Just if they'd asked me to take all my clothes off and stand naked there for what, I would have done it. I just felt so relieved that I was in a place that I just got a feeling that I was going to be taken care of. I was going to be sort of shown things, methods, whatever it was. I had no idea of the 12-step program. I kind of heard about AA and NA. I knew of them, but I didn't know what was entailed. So I entered this treatment facility, and this is kind of the stage of what happened. It was wonderful there. I do miss it. It was tough. A lot of sort of introspection and looking at myself, what I'd done, what I was like, the realization and that kind of the enormity of the kind of person that I was, what I'd done and how it affected everybody in my life, kind of started dawning on me that I was actually an asshole. I was an entitled, selfish, hedonistic narcissist. I didn't know what alcoholism was really. I thought it was somebody that woke up and necked a bloody nip of vodka in the morning just to get through the day, and it is that. But that's for me is what I've learned through the program is that's like the symptom of the actual real problem. So I learned about all of this stuff, going through the steps. That step working guide, it was the most wonderful thing for me. It allowed me to not just think about stuff where I'd gone wrong, how am I going to fix it, but actually write it down and put it into words. It takes time to think about something before you write it down for me. I've got to put a bit of thought into what I'm writing, and in that process comes for me a lot of clarity. So that helped me a lot. It was difficult. I mean, I'm not going to lie. That I was for that 4 months that I was in treatment. Most of it was wonderful and great, and I was learning, and I could feel that I was becoming better. I was learning about all my defects and how they affected me and the people around me. People were pointing stuff out to me all the time. And I would have to, initially it would be like, really? Is it really like that? No, I'm not like that. And I would have to say, well, explain and try, and they would. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, I really am like that. That's exactly how I am. The wonderful thing about it is it takes somebody else who possibly loves you enough and has the guts enough to actually tell me where I'm going wrong and tell me where I can be better. I find that a lot of people don't do that because they're kind of afraid of offending me or offending others. But in actual fact, it's really, really helpful to know, for someone to tell me when I'm being an arsehole. That's really, really helpful. I've only realized that now because before I was just an arsehole, and I was like, well, if you don't like it, go. If you don't like what I'm saying, don't listen. And people took my advice, and they left. They didn't invite me. They didn't want to speak to me. And it was like that. Now, I can actually look at it and be humble enough and open-minded enough to actually listen and say, you're right. I am being like that, and I'm sorry, I'm going to work on it. So that's what it was like. That's kind of what happened. A lot of stuff happened in treatment. I don't think I can remember it all right now, but it was all good stuff. Even the crap stuff was good, because the crap stuff helped me to learn. And for me, if I can learn anything about myself, to better myself or to understand myself, that's good. So the day came when I was going to leave. And it was a bit of a surprise. It sort of just arrived. And I was going to leave treatment and go out. Go out into the big wide world again. Before I left, I was looking around for a job. I came into Scottsboro. I walked up and down the streets, kind of looking. I was going to go and stay in a halfway house, so I needed, some type of employment, and that was the plan. That's where I was focused on. Invariably, that didn't happen. My higher power had kind of other plans for me. There were a lot of job opportunities coming from Durban. So I left. I eventually left, and I went back to go and stay with my sister. This was sister number 6, who I'm still staying with at the moment. And getting out into the big wide world was overwhelming. From coming from this, I can say like a womb, where it was protected and comfortable and warm, a place that I'd got to know really well, and the people that I got to know really well. I kind of felt like, well, I did, I fitted in there, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the schedules, and the monotony was a good thing for me. I really enjoyed it. So it was very, very difficult for me to kind of move into this other world where I was responsible for waking up on time, feeding myself, washing myself, finding a job, but dealing with my head kind of all on my own. There wasn't just someone next to me that I could go, hey, Mo, man, stuff going on here. And there wasn't that like on tap kind of a thing. So it was very, very difficult, and my disease and my mind just went wild. I had, 6 or 7 job opportunities, and I was like, now what am I going to do? Which one am I going to choose? Which one is going to be better for me? Which one is going to... So I started to analyze the crap out of it all, which got me into a bigger mess. I don't know how I got out of that, and I eventually chose what I wanted to do. I believe that it had something to do with my higher power. I eventually got a job paying 5,000 Rand a month. I had a car, I had a phone contract, and I could stay with my sister. That was my first kind of employment, and it was stable. I went to work and back every day. But there was still this madness in my head. I was attending meetings flat out. All of the meetings that I could get to, I went. It got to the stage where traveling to and from meetings was a bit difficult financially, so I chose a few that were close by that I could go to, and I just went every day. Every time I went there. At the moment, I'm doing service at 2 of those meetings. Meetings for me are a wonderful, wonderful place. Something happens in a meeting for me. I don't know, it's like a magic. My higher power just magics it somehow. I'll be feeling disgruntled and frustrated in that before a meeting, and the mere thought of going to a meeting will kind of calm me down. During the meeting, it's just this complete kind of serenity, and then after is this wonderful kind of glow about it. It's like magic to me. I don't know how it works. I don't know why it works. It's inexplicable. It's magic. It gets magic somehow. I don't know. And I'm so grateful for that. It's like medicine for me. I take a lot from meetings. I'm sure I can give back a lot more. I do service. I don't share a lot at meetings. So for me, what it's like now is I've just started a new job. I'm 3 weeks in. It's something that I did before and have kind of had a hankering to want to do again. It's funny how my higher power now is kind of guiding me, and I'm letting it. Before I was fighting it, and that's useless. You're going to fight this thing that's just all powerful. You're going to. I don't know what I was thinking. How to try and fight that kind of a thing. It's go with it. It's, for me, go with it. I believe that my higher power has got all the goodness and all the love to give me, to make sure that I will be in the right place at the right time for a specific reason for me. You know, for me, it's how I perceive that situation is where I go wrong. Oh, I'm having difficulty now with finances, or someone's pissing me off, or I've got road rage, or I've got whatever it might be. That's my perception of it, but it's there for me to teach me about that defect and giving me the opportunity to work on that. And once I realized that and became open-minded and aware that that's what was happening for me, I was being given these little opportunities all the time. I was like, okay, so this is the opportunity. It's for me. Am I willing or am I not willing to actually work with it and to learn from it? And if I think that way all the time, a crap situation can end up being a good situation. So for me, at the moment, there's no good or bad or crap or fair or unfair. It just is, and how I perceive it. I can perceive it that, oh, this crap thing's happening to me, and I don't, or I can say, it's for me. It's for me to either feel instantly happy or good, or for me to feel bad and think about why I'm feeling bad or depressed or whatever, and look at the reasons for that and try and learn from it, which is good. So yeah, this job that I'm in is wonderful. I mean, it's challenging. I get anxious. I get stressed. I wonder how things are going to turn out. But that's just how my mind works. This projection and sort of analyzing situations that haven't even happened before. It's going to happen like this, and if it happens like that, then that's going to happen, and this and that. It just becomes a storm, and it still happens. But at least now I've got a program. I've got people around me. I've got friends I've made in the fellowship. I've got a wonderful sponsor that I can speak to. People that I can call and say, "Listen, I'm going mad. Can you help me?" And always, every time, I can either get in my car and go somewhere, or somebody will say something to me, or I I'm open-minded enough and willing enough to take something from inside my head, like my conscience, my higher power speaking to me, to actually realize that that's what's happening and say, okay, I'll do that. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing, and I'm really in a wonderful part of my life at the moment. Everything seems to be really, really good. And that said, I'm under no illusion that it's always going to be like this. I know that this will change. Everything changes all the time. But I'm going to enjoy this wave or this ride for as long as I can until it changes. And then I'll have to deal and work through, the crap times when they come, because they're going to come, definitely, without a doubt. At least I can recognize that now, and when the crap times do come, I can apply the program. I can say, listen, why am I feeling crap? I'm not just feeling crap because whatever. I can look at it and I can analyze it. I can do a little inventory. I can speak to people that can help me. And I can say, okay, it's because of this and this and this. And invariably, it's all my stuff. Because everything that I've got is wonderful. I've got a job. I've got a place to stay. I've got food to eat. I've got petrol in my car. I've got a car to drive around. I've got a phone. I've got loving family. I've got stuff and people in my life that I'm so grateful for. And I do get complacent. There are times when I'm like, I want more. I want more than this. I want to feel happier. I want to feel better. I want more stuff. I want that car. I want those shoes. I want this hat, But that's just stuff, and it's not going to make me happy. There's one thing I've realized, all this outside stuff in my life, including people, it's not going to make me happy. What's going to make me happy is me, sorting me out, bettering me, what's my true self and my being, trying to get closer to that. And that's where I am at the moment. And I had a major issue with feeling grateful or being grateful. I kind of knew that I was, but I didn't feel it. I knew there were a lot of things that I was grateful for that I had in my life. I was doing a gratitude list, all little things, and there were lots of them. And I'm writing all this stuff down, and I'm thinking, well, this is just like an exercise for me. I'm just making a list of the things. I don't really feel it. But I just kept doing it and doing it and doing it, putting the action in, and then that started to affect my thinking and I was like, okay, now I'm actually starting to realize that I am grateful for all this stuff, and to stop wanting more all the time, and being grateful for what I've got. It's not a lot, but it's more than I had before. Before I had mayhem and destruction, all of the things I had before I went into treatment. The debt, the fact, the relationship issues, the fact that I wasn't earning money, but the dissatisfaction with my job, and all of that stuff, and the madness in my head was still there when I came out. And now the only difference is that I've got a program, and I've got people that can help me with that stuff. So it's not this overbearing kind of pressure on me. Somehow I just feel it's going to be all right. It's going to be okay. I can handle this with me, my higher power, my sponsor, and the people around me, and the program. This is manageable. I can do it, and it's time already. Okay, I'll stop there. Thanks, guys. It's been wonderful. I'm really grateful, and it's good to be back in this part of the world. And I love that picture. Thanks.